y'all, welcome back. My name is Amy. Today I have another book haul for y'all. So I have a few books, my book of the month books that I'll show y'all. I have an ARC, I have a borrowed book, and then I have a nice stack from Book Outlet. So let's get right into it because it's a lot of books to go through. You can probably see the one here on top. So I'll start with this one. I borrowed this one from my best bud, Debbie. She just read it and she absolutely loved it and she said I must read it. I heard good things about this book, but I also heard like that it had to do with like child abuse, possibly rape. So I really wasn't into that. That's something that I don't really care to read. I mean, I'll try it, I'll do it, but it's not something that I can take. It's like too much. But she assured me that I will love this book. So she let me borrow it. So I'm super thankful for that. And it's All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. So of course she kind of gave me a briefing of what the book was about and kind of what to expect, just because she knows how I am. So we basically have a very young child who has to grow up on her own. I believe from what Debbie told me, her parents are involved with drugs. I think her dad makes meth or has a meth lab, and he sells or he has distributors to go out and sell his drugs. And the mom is just she's just a drug head and she's pretty much useless. So she has to take it upon herself to raise herself, also probably take care of her mother, and I guess maybe escape the rage of her father. And I believe she befriends one of the drug dealers. I'll just read you a little bit on the back. It says, "Love knows no boundaries, a beautiful and provocative love story between two unlikely people and the hard-won relationship that elevates them above the Midwestern meth lab backdrop of their lives." And that's all I really want to know. Even though Debbie kind of briefed me a little bit, I don't know all the details. So I'm really excited to jump into this, especially since she highly recommended it for me. Next, this is the ARC for A Bad Day for Sunshine by Dorinda Jones. I actually had this in my most anticipated books for 2020. This says it's on sale April 7th, 2020. I actually won this ARC on Goodreads, so yes, you do actually win these things. This is actually my second ARC that I won from Goodreads. The first one was an ebook. I think I read it back in October, I believe. But Dorinda Jones wrote one of my absolute favorite series that I've talked a good bit about on my channel. It's the Charlie Davidson series. The first book is First Grave on the Right. But anyway, this is a new series that she's starting about a character. Its name is Sunshine, I believe. Yeah, Sunshine the Cram, something like that. A sassy, smart, suspense-seeking police chief of Del Sol, Mexico. New Mexico, sorry. Yes, I don't really know too much about this book. I read the synopsis like a while back, but just the author makes me want to read it. I believe Sunshine is returning home from somewhere with her son, and she gets a job as chief of police, I think is what it is. Yes, police chief. And things start to go down. I think a child goes missing, and so she's on the case, and I don't know, it sounded really good, and it's written by Dorinda Jones, so I have to try it. I have to give it a go. But I'll definitely be reading this before the release date, and I'll let y'all know how I like it. All right, next up we'll talk about my two books from the book of the month. I did get two this month. My monthly pick is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. For one, I love the cover of this book. I love the premise of it. It sounds really good, really fascinating. I believe it has to do with two timelines. Yes, upstate New York 1982 and upstate New York 2017. It says, "Something hasn't been right at the roadside Sundown Motel for a very long time, and Carly Kirk is about to find out why." So we're in 1982 with Carly's Aunt Viv, who worked at the Sundown Motel, and she mysteriously disappeared. And Carly decides to visit the hotel and figure out what happened to her aunt all those years ago. So it just sounds really good, although I haven't heard many good things about it, but I definitely want to see for myself because it definitely sounds like something I would like. And then I went ahead and I picked up The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This is my absolute favorite read of 2018. I loved this book so much. I had the paperback copy, but I really wanted the Book of the Month hardback copy in my collection. And it is possibly a book I may reread over time. I don't know, because I just loved it that much. I did listen to it the first time around, and I highly recommend the audio because our character comes to life in this audiobook. It's so good, y'all. Our character's name is Anna, and she has agoraphobia. Am I saying that right? I think so, which is a phobia of not being able to leave her home. She has been through a very traumatic experience that has led her to this point. So she spends her days indoors in her house, looking out the window with her camera lens at like the neighbors across the street or whatever. And then one day she sees something that startles her, and that maybe she possibly should not have seen. It was my favorite. I know there's some people like it, some people don't, but I loved it, and I just wanted to have the Book of the Month hard copy. All right, let's get into the big stack, the Book Outlet stack. I was pulled into the Boxing Day sale for Book Outlet, and I got me some gems, some books that I've been wanting for a long time, that have been on my TBR, that I just haven't picked up yet, and then some books that two books I've already actually read, but just wanted them in my collection because I did like them. And then one book that I haven't really heard much about, but I'm anxious to read it. It sounded really good. So we'll start off with that one. And that is Panic Room by Robert Goddard. I hope I'm saying that right. It just sounded really creepy and mysterious. So it's about this mansion that sort of sits alone on this cliff, and its only inhabitants is a woman named Blake that is hiding out basically from her past. From what I understand from just reading the synopsis, I don't know much about this book at all. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know of anybody that has read it. If you have read it, let me know. No spoilers though, just let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it and if you think I would like it. But it just sounded really good. There's some questions about the original owner of the mansion, and it says questionable motives will be asking Blake the sort of questions she can't or won't answer. I don't know, it just sounds, like I said, mysterious, dark, creepy. I'm excited. This next book I read years ago. It's The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I loved this years ago when I read it. I used to belong to the Columbia House Book Club. I'm talking years ago. I actually had this book in hardcover, but I think I let someone borrow it and they never gave it back. And every time I see it at like Barnes and Nobles or wherever I'm at, I'm like, I need to get that book or like buy it again because I just want it in my collection because I really did enjoy it. Again, this is a book with two timelines. So we have, I believe, either a journalist or a writer, I don't really remember, it's been a long time, who is getting the real story of this very famous woman. Was she famous? Let's see. Reclusive author Vida Winter, famous for her collection of 12 enchanting stories, has spent the past 6 decades penning a series of alternate lives for herself. Okay, so Vida is our character that we'll be interviewing. She is an author that has sort of kept her life a secret. She's only put a little bit out there that needs to be out there, and she decides one day, I guess in her old age, I think she becomes ill, if I'm not mistaken, and she's just ready to tell her story of her crazy violent past. It was a really good, deep story. Very deep, dark. It was so good. I just remember loving it, and I remember I used to tell all my friends about it, like, you must read this, and I let someone borrow it. I don't even remember who. but I never got it back. So I saw it on Book Outlet, even though it didn't come. I looked to see if they had hardcover, but they didn't. So I just went ahead and I got the paperback because I just wanted it back in my life. I think I kind of do want to reread this because it's been so long and I just remember enjoying it so much. So we'll see. Next, I picked up Sadie by Courtney Summers, and it's got a lovely Target sticker on it that I need to try to get off later. But I hear so many good things about this book. This book involves a podcast, or it's told like a podcast, and I love podcasts. Especially like true crime podcasts are my favorite, and that's kind of what this book is about. It's blurred by AJ Finn. It says flat out dazzling. So in a nutshell, Sadie's sister was brutally murdered, and she's basically on the hunt for revenge. That's, like I said, in a nutshell. I don't really know much more about it other than that it's sort of told like a podcast, I think. I'm just very intrigued about it. Like I said, I hear nothing but good things about it, so I'm excited to check it out. Next, I picked up The First Mistake by Sandy Jones, who also wrote The Other Woman, which I also picked that one up too. I believe this was a Reese's Book Club pick, and I've been intrigued about it, been wanting to read it, and I just never picked it up because I was kind of on the verge of like, it sounds good, but I don't know, so I never really picked it up. And I remember picking this up in Barnes & Nobles, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds really good. I don't know too much about it. It just sounded really good. It's about a wife, her husband, and her best friend. It seems like her husband starts acting strangely. This is her second husband. Her first husband passed away. So she turns to her best friend, I guess, to investigate what's happening, what's going on with the husband. Sounds just really good and thrilling. It's mysterious. I don't know. Thought I'd try it since it was at such a good price. I also picked up The Other Woman by Sandy Jones. Has another Target sticker on it. This, I believe, has to do with a mother-in-law, or should I say a monster-in-law. It says, he loves you, but she loves you not, and she'll stop at nothing. So again, I don't know too much about it, but it's sort of, I think it's has to do with like the mother-in-law, or soon-to-be mother-in-law, maybe trying to get her out of her son's life. So this book is the one I was kind of on the fence about. I was like, it sounds good, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be something I would like. But again, since it was at such a good price, hardback copy from Book Outlet, I have to try it. I picked up Baby Teeth by Zoja Stage. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I read this last year sometime. I was off and on about this. Like, I was really aggravated with this book, angry with the child at this book. I was annoyed because it was very just like, will somebody just whip this child's ass, please? I don't know. It was like kind of a repetitious thing of the child doing things to her mother. Like, she hates her mother. She loves her father. So of course, when her father's around, she's a totally different child, and he doesn't see the madness inside of her when she's around her mother, and she does violent things to her mother. I stayed rather pissed off a lot in this book, and so why did I like it so much? I don't know, but I think it just gave me all the feels. I had to like it. Like, I kept going back to it, even though it was so repetitious with the child doing all these crazy things to her mother. I had to keep reading because I knew somewhere in this book something was going to happen to this child, or something was going to happen to the mother, and I had to find out. So I kept reading, and I really did like it, I have to say. I think it's a book that you either hate or you love. But our child is, I think she's around 8 years old, and she just refuses to speak. She's a very difficult child. They can't put her in like any kind of school because of the reason that she doesn't speak, and she doesn't work well with other children as well as other adults. So the mother stays home with her and tries to school her and whatnot, and the child just hates her mother so much, and she basically tries to kill her mother. Like in every chapter, she's coming up with a new scheme to try to kill her mother. It's very annoying, but like I said, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I really did love it when it came to the conclusion of it. I ended up liking it. But like I said, I had to get to the end to find out what was going to happen, whether it was going to be the child or the mother. I wanted to know. So really good. I had to have it in my life, I guess. This is another book I haven't really heard much about. This is The X by Alifair Burke. Again, it sounded good. I loved the cover. I was very intrigued by the cover. Briefly scanning the synopsis, we have a husband who has lost his wife years ago, 15 years ago. She was shot by a 15-year-old kid, and he has just met someone new. I believe she's a lawyer, and then he ends up getting arrested for triple homicide, I think is what I read. Of course, his new love interest, or the woman he's dating, tries to get to the bottom of what is going on, what happened to his wife. Why was he arrested? That's kind of what I get from the synopsis. I didn't want to read too much into it because it just makes it all that more exciting. I don't know, but I love the cover. And last but not least, I picked up The Night Before by Wendy Walker. Again, I heard good and bad things about this book. I heard it was sort of slow and not very thrilling, but I'm intrigued about it. I want to find out for myself. So I think our character meets someone on a dating site, and they end up going on a date, and then she disappears. So I think her sister and some of their friends go looking for her or try to figure out what happened to her on that night that she never came back from this date with this internet guy. So it just sounds really intriguing. I just find that very interesting. And AJ Finn blurbed it. He said, a dazzling Hall of Mirrors thriller. So I'm really excited about it. Super excited about all these books. And between my last video and this video, that is all the books I acquired in January. Hopefully I'll take it down a notch for February. These were actually bought in December, but they didn't come in till January. And then of course my other books were Christmas presents from my husband. So I really didn't buy that many books this month, but I am trying to do better because I have a TBR shelf that is just falling over with books that I need to get to. But that's going to be it for this video, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, I'll list these books down below if you want to go check them out. My social medias will be down there as well. And I will see y'all in my next video. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye, y'all.